Hello, my loves. I am getting ready to do April 2023's energy update. When you hop on, let me know that you're here. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you are watching the replay, hashtag it replay, let me know that you were here. For those of you watching on Instagram or TikTok, welcome. And please note this podcast it is recorded. It will be on YouTube for you to go back and watch um, if you desire to. How is everybody feeling with this intense energy? I don't know about you guys, but besides just the normal energy that's coming through, um, the solar flares have been. Whew, I'm not usually too affected by the solar flares, but they have been causing some nausea for me. Mm. Okay, so we're gonna dive in. If you are new to me, if you've never met me before, if you're just finding me, hi, I'm Johanna. I am a multi-dimensional channel teacher and healer. Here to kind of help you step in, not kind of, I'm here to help you step into your self-mastery, manage your energy, and create your desired reality, which you, all of us can do. We can do. Um, but today we're going to talk about April 2023. Energy. And I'm going to start with this because I haven't been doing regular recordings of energy updates. I think the last one I probably did live was January. I think I stopped for February and March. I did do written posts on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube um, when we had major things happening. But I kind of want to talk about why I have kind of pulled back from doing as many energy updates. And it may be a personal thing, so if you guys agree with this, let me know because I'm kind of curious as to where you guys are. But it doesn't ever feel like it's good news. It doesn't ever feel like it's freaking good news. It always feels like that when we hear what's going on with the energy, when I feel it, when the guides talk about it, when I see other people talking about it, it's never anything good. It's always about how intense it's going to be and how challenging it's going to be. And those things are true. They're true. Uh, but we have to talk about it differently. And so I'm going to talk about it differently because I don't want to talk about it in the same way. I don't want to I feel like all I've been doing over the last 6 to 8 months, as we have really progressed into this higher frequency on the planet, that I've just been repeating myself over and over and over again. And while that's something that us channels do, um, because we're trying to really open you guys up and really expand your awareness, and we have to sometimes repeat things to drive it home, I just don't want to do it anymore. It gets old after a while, and God, is everybody else sick of hearing the same thing over and over again? And I've always done energy updates a little bit differently. I don't focus necessarily on astrology. I don't focus necessarily on any one particular thing. I just bring through like what we're going to experience, right? And so we're going to focus more on that today, and just have a little bit of a conversation about some things that I think will be helpful for you to know because it doesn't matter what's happening. It doesn't matter what's happening with the planets. It doesn't matter how much energy is coming through, how much we're processing, solar flares, all of these things. None of it matters, right? Our ego mind wants to know. It's curious. It wants to find reasoning and understanding and put it to why we feel a certain way. But at the end of the day, what does it do for you? It gives you something to blame. It gives you something to blame. That's it. Um, what you need to know is how you can get through it. How you can get through it. What can you do to process it? What can you do to process it? How can you approach life? How can you look at things to see it differently, to experience it differently? That's what you need to know. And so yes, in April, let's just take a step back. And I said this a couple times, but we will say this again. The guides have said since last year that March was going to be one of the biggest turning points in humanity that humanity's ever seen. And tell me, how many of you have felt that shift? It doesn't necessarily mean that everything has manifested from it. It means that the energetic shift occurred. And, we know because of quantum physics, we know that there's a delay between the energy changing and the physical manifesting coming into form. We know this, right? So, have you felt the shift? Have you felt the shift? It almost looks like, yeah, this is my logo. It's part of it anyway, for those on. Um, I don't know where I was going. I got distracted. How many of you have felt that shift? I know I did. There was a pivotal shift for me in consciousness in March. And it was for humanity. I was very aware of that shift. I felt that shift internally very much. It changed my perspective. I could literally feel what was holding on to me let go. And I know that sounds strange to hear, but we can let go, right? But and something can hold on to us. And that has a lot to do with our inner children. That has a lot to do with our ego. But it's because we allow something to have power over us. So when you ever hear someone say, "Something's holding on to me, something won't let go of me," it's because you are giving that thing, that person, place, or thing, the power to have over you, to hold you, to keep you stuck, to keep you in that frame of mind, that frame of reference. And that's what was happening for me. I had let go of a lot of things that were keeping me in toxic patterns and stuck energy and just feeling all of this heaviness and fighting with it. I let go of that, but I could feel that it hadn't let go of me. And in March is when I felt that pivotal shift and I realized, oh, I was allowing that thing to have power over me. And when I no longer gave two shits and let go and said, I don't care. This has no power over me anymore. I'm going to be at peace. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to live my life regardless of this thing. Everything shifted. And that shift, however it showed up for you, was across humanity, all the collective. So I'm curious of how many of you felt that shift. April is when we're going to start to see some of the manifestations of that energetic shift. And it will probably be mid to late April. Yes, we are going to be in the start of eclipse season come mid-April, and that's always fated changes. That's always pivotal direction shifts. But normally, we would say, in the past, the guides have said that usually the eclipse is the activation point. But no, March was the activation point for this. The energy that we experienced, the frequency shift that we experienced, the collapsing timelines and congruence that happened was the activation. April is really going to be the firepower that really backs that energy and brings it into fruition, where you start to see the beginning changes of what your life is going to begin to look like over the next few years. And yes, we have lunar nodes later this year changing signs, which is always a shift in direction a little bit too, in one aspect of your life. So there is a bunch of astrology stuff, and you can go follow your favorite astrologer to learn the astrology of it. But let's talk about the energy of it and what you can do with it, because you know what's not going to change? The amount of information that continues to grow that we process. So something that I talk about is when we talk about a frequency coming through, when we talk about a spike in the frequency, a sustained spike in frequency is what I like to say. That doesn't mean the Schumann shot up temporarily. It doesn't mean that we had solar flares temporarily. Those are always temporary feelings. They're side effects. They're symptoms of an increase in sustained frequency that is happening on the planet. And I show you my phone, but I'm on my it's the I use the analogy of if your iPhone or Android is due for an update, right? And then it's due for another update, and you're like, "Shoot, I don't have room for the first update, and I'm already got 3 more updates behind it." What do you have to do? You have to clear space. You have to take out photos. You gotta remove apps. You gotta create space so that you can upgrade the hardware, right, or the software, the programming. So as all these new frequencies come in, if you don't have space inside of you, if you're not constantly doing that work of clearing your limiting beliefs and being in flow and not fighting and not being in resistant energy and really just kind of going with life and allowing life to happen and listening to your intuition, then you create a backlog of updates. And when you do that, that's what creates those tower moments. That's what creates those table flips where everything has to be chaotic and turn your life upside down so that you will shift. But these updates that are coming in are a sustained frequency. They are a new base programming that the collective will be running, that we will be immersed in, we will be walking in, that everything is surrounded in, which creates more transparency, which makes it harder for people to hide things that, in fact, it's almost impossible at this point to hide things that aren't truth. And so that's why the increase in distractions has to happen, or you will even personally feel like you have more distractions in your life, or you'll create more distractions because you won't want to see the truth. The same way the collective stage is played out, right? So they have no choice now but to increase distractions because it's almost impossible to hide the truth right now because of the level of frequency, the frequency that is now immersed in our planet. And so what does that mean? The frequency is the rate of speed in which you process information. So you process hundreds of thousands of hours of information every hour and you don't even know it. And that is going to continue to increase every month. It's going to continue to increase. It's more stable in April, whereas March was like, woo, off the charts. April's going to be more stable increases, slower increases. It's going to be more of you, again, bringing it into the body, making those conscious choices, making that shift in direction, allowing things to fall away. It's going to be more of a stabilizing energy, even with an eclipse. It's a hybrid eclipse at that, but it's going to be more stable. But it doesn't change the fact that we are going to continue to have these increases. So, what does that mean in a human form? It means you're going to be more sensitive. You're going to feel more things. You're going to feel everything. You are going to be more aware of things that you weren't aware of before. Again, I'm going to use an analogy that's my favorite analogy that the guides have given me, which is if you have a dimmer switch in your house and you clean your house and then someone clicks that dimmer switch up just a couple of notches and you see dirt that you didn't know was there before. It was always there, you just didn't see it. So you clean it again. And then someone goes by and turns up the dimmer switch again. And you're like, shit, there's still dirt there. I just cleaned for the second time. So you clean up some more. It's not that it wasn't there. It was always there. You just couldn't see it before. So as frequency increases on the planet, it expands your awareness. You're able to see more, experience more, feel more, which is what we came here to do, process more. And so it can feel more anxious. It can feel more uncertain. It can feel more fearful. It can feel like things are overwhelming or too much. You can have more sensory issues. You can have more food intolerances. All of these things can happen. You can start to see people in their truth. You can start to see people in who they really are instead of the reality or what the ego created, what they wanted to see, the illusion that they created about that person. You will see more truth about yourself. You will start to feel more aware of what is your truth and what you really want, how you really want to dress, how you really want to speak, what you really want to do in this world, how you really want to live your life. Things that were always so important are no longer going to be as important because all that shit was programmed. It was all programmed. So the things that are going to be most important are the things I've been telling you guys for years to do and the things that I've been teaching for years to do, which is energy management, learning to manage your energy, learning how you best can regulate that nervous system. That's energy management, regulating your nervous system, finding your homeostasis, being able to be at peace even though the seas around you are storming, being the anchor. That is your job. What anybody else thinks, wants, desires, judges, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Staying in your own lane instead of getting involved in the distractions and the drama of your own life, other people's lives at the world stage, and resolving the inner conflict inside of you, which is why yesterday I started the launch of Solvation because this is a perfect time, apparently. Because when you have inner conflict inside of you, when your inner child wants what it wants, I want this, and I want this person, and I want to do this thing, and I want my life to look this way. And when your ego is superior and thinks it knows everything and wants to protect everything and defend everything, your soul is in the back going, oh man, would she just get out of the way? So we can take her to the most amazing things she's ever experienced. So we can allow her life to be amazing. And so for that to happen, you have to learn how to work with those aspects inside of you, how to observe them and not fight with them, how to listen and hear them, but still follow your intuition, still follow what your soul is telling you. To not get caught up in fear, to resolve that inner conflict inside of you, to do embodiment practices. Yesterday, actually last night, I had a friend that I needed to call because she was struggling with something. She was struggling with fear. And as I was walking around my bedroom, just talking to her on the phone and trying to help give her a perspective shift, something came through me that was profound in some ways. It was profound for me. And I thought, I need to share this. Fear is in everything, right? Fear is why we control. Fear is why we procrastinate. Fear is why we um, are perfectionists. Fear is what keeps us from doing the things that we know that we should be doing or that we desire to do. Fear keeps us from approaching people. Fear keeps us from dressing the way that we want to. Fear keeps us from putting color in our hair, whatever, right? Fear of judgment, fear that we're going to get it wrong, fear that we're going to be rejected or abandoned. Fear is like the main energy around everything. Yet fear is the thing we resist the most because we see the fear and the fear acts as a wall. We don't want to look at the fear. We don't want to go near the fear. We want to reject the fear. We want we want to pretend that we're not afraid. And fear is just an emotion, just energy in motion. It's just a field of energy. But what if we saw fear? What if we saw fear as that child that was ostracized at school? What if we saw fear as the child that nobody wanted to play with? What if we saw fear as a child that was abandoned by its parents? What if we saw fear as the person or child who was deformed that nobody wanted to look at? What if we saw our own fear like that? And We decided to instead to have compassion for the fear, knowing that we can't change it, we can't fix it. There's nothing we can do to stop the fear. The fear is going to be there, but we can sit with it. We can sit with it. We can sit with the fear and say, I'm here. I'm with you. I'm going to be right here with you. What if we loved it anyway? What if we loved it like it was a child that was cast away? We couldn't take its pain away. We can't change what's happened. We can't change that it's afraid. But we can sit with it. We can not be afraid of it. We can be willing to look at it, willing to feel it. And pretty soon, you make best friends with it. And first, you get acquainted, right? Then you start to get a little closer. And pretty soon, fear is your bestie. And when you are going to do something new, when you're getting ready to, a lot of I have a lot of private new private clients coming in that are starting the nomad life. I have a lot of people coming to me that are starting the nomad life because I just went through a whole year of it. I am still a nomad. But when you feel that uncertainty about the world, when you feel that uncertainty about our economy, when you feel that uncertainty about your relationship, when you feel that uncertainty about your job, when you feel that uncertainty about the new direction in life you're meant to take, about anything, when you feel any type of fear, if you could just recognize it and go, oh, that's my bestie, right? That's what we want you to get to. We're like, hey, cool, fear's here. Fear is here. Because when you're not what you look at disappears. What you look at disappears. What you look at disappears. What you're afraid to look at, what you're afraid to face is constantly chasing you, wanting to get in your face and say, "Hey, wake up. I'm going to stay until you look at me, until you face me." And this is what April's about. So can you walk with your fear? Let life unfold in front of you. Let life tell you where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. Can you let your soul lead? And when your inner children throw their tantrums, and when your ego wants to protect you, can you, do you have the tools to reconcile those aspects and integrate them so that they don't keep calling in toxic situations and relationships? This is mastery. This is what you do. This is the work. This is the work. I see this bunch of comments, so let me read them. I felt grief and fear for Gaia, how our 3D systems are not in coherence with the highest good. Felt like a collective release that something new is here and humanity is scared but ready for change. Yeah, humanity is scared and ready for change, but you know what keeps the collective from change? You know what keeps us going at the slow pace that we seem to be going at right now? Fear. Do you know what the opposite of fear is? Courage. A lot of people say love. It's actually safety, to be honest. The opposite of fear is safety. But in order to live a safe life, in order to feel safe inside of you, you have to have courage. You have to be willing, as Brene Brown says, you got to be willing to get in the damn arena and be vulnerable to what's happening. You have to be willing to risk it. My God, these glasses are dirty. Hold on one second. I can't read my comments without getting super close to the screen. I don't like wearing them at the same time. So I can just get them clean enough to read the comments. I'm not sure what you're saying. She says it can be the chemicals in your body that are shifting. So science is just quantum physics. Science is just making what people is unknown known. And our brain is only processing and can only understand and perceive a very limited spectrum of everything that is available. So science is constantly being proven wrong, and science is constantly being evolved. Um, but from science, they call it quantum physics. So what I'm speaking of is in the science field. And chemicals, absolutely. Our body, our environment, our clothes, everything that at least in the United States, is surrounded by chemicals. So being conscious of what you put on your body and in your body is definitely going to affect you. And part of energy management is your body and making sure that you aren't mineral deficient, which most people are. Making sure that you are conscious about the ingredients that you're putting in and on your body and that you're using in your home and an environment. It's about being responsible for those things. Because if your body is clogged down by processed uh, food that has no nutrients in it, if your body doesn't have the minerals to process this energy, if it doesn't have what it needs to support itself, and your body's already struggling, and then you add in all this energy frequency that's coming in, it's only going to compound that. The frequency ascension is the body going from carbon to crystalline. We are becoming more electrical beings. We are becoming more crystalline in nature. We are changing our DNA. This has been scientifically proven. It is not woo woo. And so understanding that when frequency comes in and it hits density, carbon, which is your ancestral makeup of trauma, shame, guilt that was passed down through lineage, that we are here to break and cleanse and clear, it's going to feel. You're going to feel it. That's why people have ascension symptoms. So yes, taking care of your body is going to be a huge part of that. So supporting your body. I take cell salts. All of this is on my links. I have an Amazon thing that has health products that I use. I need to update it actually with some new products, but cell salts, they're very inexpensive. They're really good for helping your body process. Taking the correct form of magnesium that you need for magnesium deficiency. Taking a Shilajit or other mineral supplement to help your body actually absorb nutrients from your food, to help you actually process this energy and be hydrated. Because we over consume water that is reverse osmosis and been stripped of all of its mineral properties so that we can cleanse the water of all the crap that's been put in it. But when you do that, it strips you of minerals even more. So when you add in minerals or even put in a little bit of Himalayan salt or Celtic salt in your water, it opens the cells. That's why I also drink a lot of lemon water. It opens the cells and allows the water to get into the cells and hydrate it and take it to the places in the body that it needs. So supporting your body is a part of energy management. It's very, very important part. Everybody's loving my background. So this is my logo. Yes, it looks like Alcohol Anonymous, Holy Trinity. It's about mind, body, soul. It's embodiment, self mastery. In order to embody anything, in order to master anything, we need to master the mind, the body, and our energy, which we call our spirit. We need to have them all three working in congruence. So, and then the spiral in the middle is about going inward, right? It's going on the soul's evolution. So, this is my new logo. Where do I start? New widow. You start with processing your grief, my love, and I'm so sorry for your loss. You start with processing your grief, allowing yourself to feel all of it. You know, Louise Hay says you have to feel it to heal it. And at the end of the day, that's all you really have to do is when the pain comes, when the hurt comes, when the anger comes, when the joy comes, allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to be washed over by it because here's how it really works. When you allow yourself to let go of all resistance of what you're feeling, you will only feel it for 2 1 to 2 minutes, and then it will shift. And if you are going beyond that, it may be because it's a very deep wound, only allowing yourself a little bit into, like, a little bit at a time, because sometimes, especially with grief, um, it can be so massive that you have to do it in small chunks and layers, and you have to be kind to yourself for that process. And other times it can last longer because you're attaching a story to it, right? You're creating a story to it. So something that I'm hearing right now that I want to say that maybe someone has a question about is, what's the difference between your fear and your intuition? So fear is generally going to have a story. Fear is going to have a story about it. It's, I'm afraid because of this reason, this is going to happen. There's going to be a mental story, right? There's going to be something that's happening. When it's our intuition, it usually comes across as incomplete. It's an incomplete sentence. It rarely ever makes logical sense, and you don't understand it. Why would I do that? Why would I go there? Why would I want to talk to that person? It's incomplete. It's kind of out of left field. It kind of catches you like, I don't understand why I would do it. It doesn't make sense. That's intuition. It's not logical. You can't really understand it until it happens, and you're like, "Oh, now hindsight. Oh, now I get it." But they can't give you all of it because you'll screw it up, so they have to breadcrumb us. Even me, even me. So with fear, there's gonna be a story. When it's your ego or inner child, there's gonna be a story. And that's why I developed the purification process, right? I see you, I hear you, you are safe, I love you anyway. Because that inner child is throwing a tantrum, that ego personality is trying to protect the inner child from its pain. And so you have to, what does a child want? They want to be seen, they want to be heard. They want to know that they are safe to have their emotions, to experience their irrational emotions. They want to be loved regardless if they're afraid. They want to be loved regardless if they're angry. We have to practice that in our own life, whether we're grieving or pissed off or depressed or dissatisfied. And this is going to be an emotional year, guys. There's going to be some dramatic changes that happen in some of our lives. There's going to be things that we want to fight against. We're going to have a great deal of loss on our planet over the next couple of years. So learning how to be emotionally available to yourself and manage your energy and take responsibility for your reality is the thing that you have to start to do if you're not already doing it. And if you are, continue until you get to the level of mastery where it's your natural way of being. You don't have to think about it. It's what you naturally do. You don't have to sit down and go, what's that process I got to do? It just happens naturally. The guides have been telling me for a while now that we can heal through joy way faster than we can heal by going into the dark. There is so much to be gained by doing shadow work. There is so much to be gained by looking at it. But I think that we're going to go through a shift in evolution. And I think that this is part of my journey of where I'm headed, is where we do that work of looking at our wounds, looking at our limiting beliefs, doing that work from a space of joy instead of dread and pain and all of those things. Because it's funny is they always show me this in my third eye whenever I talk about this and this. I'm a big fan of Tupac. I just am. There's a song called "I Get Around." I don't really care what anybody thinks about it, but I know every word to it. I could probably rap it right here with every line because it's just got a really good beat, and I've always been a huge fan of Tupac. But when I am, like, in my car, on the freeway, just rapping and jamming and just getting down, I will literally burst into tears and just start ugly crying while I'm singing, while I'm in that space, and then it will pass, and I'll be like, "Where did that come from?" It was because I was in so much joy, and my heart was so open, and I was just getting down, that I was wide open and allowed for some dense, heavy energy to be transmuted and transcended like that. And I didn't even have to know what it was. I didn't have to go into the story, and I didn't have to think about the past, and I didn't have to do all this other shit. I just allowed for the emotion to come up and move through me without the story, without the drama. And I think that's where we're going. At least that's where I feel like I'm going and what I will be moving into. And herbs and things like that because I'm so passionate about ascension in our bodies and taking care of it. Getting a little off track, but don't see this work, the shadow work. Don't get lost in it as going in the dark. There's so many ways to do it. There's so many ways to love ourselves through it. So yes, April could be challenging. It's definitely going to be intense, which just means a lot, and it will continue to get intense every month thereafter. And the worse you feel, the more you struggle, that means there's more work for you to do in your body, in your mind. There's more resistance that you need to let go of. There's more embodiment work to do. So if you're struggling, if it gets to that point where it's challenging, where you want to start cussing everything out and hitting things and throwing a tantrum because you're pissed off that life is just not going your way, that's telling you something. It's telling you to surrender, to let go and say, okay, this is obviously not the right way to go. Or maybe I need to get to that place by going another way. But the only way that will happen is if you get out of your own. You have to get out of your own. Does anybody have any questions? Shadow work is when you are willing to look in the mirror at your own trauma, at your own wounds, at your own limiting beliefs about why you are the way that you are and why you call in the things that you call in. We live on a dualistic planet and cast shadow. So you have to be willing to see all sides of your being. You have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, man, this person who's annoying me, this person that's pissing me off, this person that's treating me is showing me something. They're a mirror, and I need to look at that. It's looking at your own shit and being willing to face it and to make peace with it. That's what shadow work is. To feel the heavy, ucky emotions. Be willing to. Oh my goodness. How long have we been on? We're on 38 minutes. Perfect. Okay, you guys. I hope this helps give you some insight into how you can work with the energy moving forward in April. Um, you, I cannot say this enough. We have to let go. We have to let go. We have to allow our life to unfold. We have to stop fighting with what is. I'm always being reminded not to complicate the process to keep things simple. Yes. Well, that's what I did back in, 2019 is when the purification process came through for me. And that's why, because I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. There's so many processes and there's so many things, and you got to do this and you got to do that. And it's like, no, we don't. We can have one set of tools or one simple practice that we can adapt and use and just make our life easy. Why do we have to complicate things? It's just not that complicated. And at the end of the day, if all you did was sat, as soon as you felt angry or as soon as you felt sad, as you sat your ass down and decided to let go of the resistance and felt it, even that is simple enough and will get you very far in this life. So you're absolutely correct. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. So I hope this helped you guys with the energy update. Just a reminder, next week I will be live twice. I will be continuing the series on shadow work. on inner children work, on integration work, on parts work, all similar terms doing the same thing, helping you create an embodied sense of self. It is part of my launch of Soulvation, my program. It is the second time I am running it. So know that there will be more juicy content for that next week. I will be posting probably later today or tomorrow, sometime this weekend. I will be posting when I will be live. I know I'll be live Monday and probably Wednesday or Thursday with the final live. So know that there's more coming for that. Um, enjoy your life. Be present. Be present. Enjoy your life. Find the good in every moment. No matter what, there's good. You just have to be willing to see it because we're only here for a short time in reality, what we feel anyway, as in a human body. And we came here to feel. We came here to have a feeling, tangible experience. So go have it. Stop holding back. Just go live your life. Don't let fear stop you. Enjoy your life. When I started my nomad journey, I think I had maybe $4,000 in the bank. I had no idea where I was going. I had no home. I had my car, 3 suitcases, a couple of pillows, random stuff. I had no idea what I was gonna be doing, where I was gonna go, and from each place, each destination, I didn't know where the next destination was gonna lead. I never knew if I was gonna consistently make enough money to support myself. I didn't know anything, but I didn't let it stop me. Thank God I didn't. Because if you've been following it, you've seen the most amazing places I have been and the most amazing people I've met. I have faced my deepest and darkest fears, and I am more capable and have more belief in myself than I ever have in my entire life because I decided to live in faith and make peace with uncertainty and let fear be my bestie. We all can do that too without having to live the nomad life. And that's why I'm here for you. So go live your life, laugh, enjoy. Stop taking everything so damn seriously. And when the pain comes, when the anger comes, when the conflict comes, sit your butt down, let go of the resistance, and do the work and love yourself through it. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.